I guess I should have this. Okay, good evening, directors, staff, and members of the public. I will now call this January 3rd, 2023 special annual organizational meeting to order. I'll first begin tonight by acknowledging that buildings within Minneapolis Public Schools are located within the traditional homelands of the Dakota people. Minnesota comes from the Dakota name for this region, Minnesota Makoche, translating to the land where the waters reflect the skies, or cloudy waters. MPS recognizes the original peoples of this place and is committed to make ongoing efforts to educate the community about the relationship the Dakota people have to this area, both historically and today, as they remain here in their home. Thank you. I'd like to welcome our new members of the board who were just sworn in prior to this meeting. So welcome, everybody. Ryan, will you please call the roll for the record? Just say here.
Here. Here. Here.
Director Ferriano.
Here.
Director Cirio. Director Norville.
Here.
Director Jourdain. Director Beachy. Director Ellison.
Here. Thank you.
Here.
We have a quorum. Please note that we expect to seat our student representatives at our February business meeting. Next, we will approve our agenda for the rest of the meeting. Can I please get a motion to approve the agenda? Our agenda's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. That motion carries, and we have an approved agenda. Our next item is the election of board officers for the 2023 calendar year. In accordance with the process laid out in our policy, I will now open the floor for nominations for the positions of chair, vice chair, clerk, and treasurer. Once nominations are received for each position, I will close nominations, and we will first confirm any uncontested positions. We will then proceed with any contested positions, offering each person nominated the chance to make a brief statement, followed by a roll call vote. Using your request to speak button, directors, that's how you can make your nominations. I will start by nominating Director Elamine for chair. Director Norville?
I'd like to nominate Director Beachy for vice chair.
Director Cirio?
Yes, I would like to nominate myself for vice chair, and I don't know when is the appropriate time to nominate another director for a committee. This is just for the board committee right now, correct?
No, committees are assigned, and we will confirm those later in the meeting.
Okay, because I am the chair of the ELL caucus, but I am passing that on to somebody else. So is this the appropriate time? I'm just getting back from Texas. I got here at 3 a.m. this morning. So full disclosure in here, I'm extremely glad to be here.
We are just doing officers. We're doing officers right now.
Thank you.
Director Beachy.
I'd like to nominate Director Norville for clerk.
Any other nominations? Director Jourdain?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Director Abdi for treasurer.
For treasurer? Brian, I wasn't writing this down.
Chair Ellison, we have at least one person nominated for each position now. If you want to call twice more for any other nominations.
Thank you. So we have at least one for each position. Are there any other nominations? Hit your request to speak button if there are any other nominations. Seeing no other nominations, I'm now going to close nominations. We have 3 uncontested positions for chair, clerk, and treasurer. Is that correct? Thank you, Ryan. I will start by moving to approve Director Elamine as chair, Director Norvell as clerk, and Director Abdi as treasurer. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to elect Director Elamine as chair, Director Norvell as clerk, and Director Abdi as treasurer. Is there any discussion? Your request to speak button. Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. That motion carries. Congratulations, Chair Elamine, Clerk Norvell, and Treasurer Abdi. We will now move to the position of Vice Chair, for which Director Cerrillo and Director Beachy were nominated. Director Beachy, please go ahead with any brief comments about why you would like to be Vice Chair.
During the campaign, and there was a lot of talk about healing and making sure that we are going to show the public that we're going to come together as a board. And I think that we've got a returning member who now is the chair. I think a new member sitting beside them as the vice chair would be a nice message that we're sending to the community. As an educator for 21 years, I just think that it's important to make sure that educator voice is included in the conversations that we're having with the superintendent in setting our agenda. We've been able to do some things with my job where I'm able to make, I have some time now where I'm going to be able to spend, where I'm going to be able to put in the commitment and the time that's needed to keep everybody informed and updated as to what's going on with the board, or with the conversation with the chair, vice chair, and the superintendent. I'm committed to doing a nice job with this, and I'm good at communicating with all of my staff members in the past, and see no reason why that wouldn't continue here.
Thank you. Director Cerrillo, please go ahead with any brief comments about why you would like to be Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, congratulations on the new elected officials to the board. Looking forward to the great leadership that is coming ahead. When I decided to run for school board, first of all, I am the guardian of a student that used to attend Emerson. We came to Emerson in January 2019. He's one of my nephews. And I got to see and experience how systematic racism is so real, of all places, as much as I love this city. And I am so grateful to the incredible opportunities that we have to create change. That a city as incredible as we are, that systematic racism is so real, to especially kids of color. And to make a long story short, I said to myself, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? I cannot expect the change that needs to be done from anybody else if I don't step into the ring of fire and make it happen. Being the very first Mexican to ever be elected to this board, it is not only my humble honor, but also my responsibility and duty to ensure that we move forward in a different direction. Being part of this board for the last 2 years, it has been an incredible opportunity of learning, of understanding that in order to create that change, one needs to be brave. One needs to stand up and speak the truth, and especially as a person that is directly affected, because I am raising 2 of my nephews that are students in MPS, especially kids of color that never had any representation at this board, never representation at this table. I want to be the vice chair. Why? First of all, because I would love to be the example that I didn't see previously from the leadership of this board. I want to be a voice that is inclusive, that brings all of us together, not just a few, but being the brave person that I am, and to be making hard decisions that need to be made. because our district is going to be facing a lot of challenges. But it is the opportunity that we have to bring community together, and especially immigrant communities, communities that do not have the privilege to speak the language, and to remember that the children of immigrant communities do not need our pity. They need for us to believe in them, and us as leaders up here, we need to be hard with individuals that are working for us, and to ensure that we remember that leadership matters. So everything that goes through this district, whether it's good or bad, it is our responsibility. So I'm looking forward to really having your support, and more than anything, this is not about me. This is about our children, and we need to be very grounded that this is not about us as adults, it's about our kids. Our kids do not have an entity that represents them, that fight for them, that lobby for them, unfortunately. But I'm looking forward, and I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for your service. And also, I really hope that whatever decision happens, it is the right decision. And I really appreciate you, Mr. Collin. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. With each nominee having the opportunity to speak, I will now ask Ryan to do a roll call vote, which each member stating the director's name for whom they cast their vote for the vice chair position.
Director Bichi.
Alamin.
Cirillo.
Ferriare.
Director Cirillo.
Director Cirillo.
Cirillo. Adriana Cirillo.
Director Norville.
Director Beachy.
Director Jordan.
Director Bichi.
Director Beachy.
Director Beachy.
Director Ellison.
Director Beachy.
Director Emmerich.
Director Cirillo.
Chair Ellison, there are 5 votes for Beachy and 4 for Cirillo.
Thank you. Having received a majority of the votes, Director Beachy has been elected as the 2023 Vice Chair. Congratulations. Everyone, please join me in congratulating the newly elected 2023 Minneapolis Board of Education officers. We will now take a 5-minute break so I can pass the gavel to Director Alamin. Right.
I'm glad you did.
There we go. We have sound. Well, thank you. I will now call this meeting back to order. On behalf of myself and the other new officers, I want to thank all of our colleagues for your support and trust in us to help lead the board this year. We are humbled by your confidence and honored to have the opportunity to do the right by our students, staff, and community. Thank you. We will now continue our meeting with a few annual organization items. And first up is determining the assignments to our internal board committees as well as appointments to various external boards and committees. As a reminder, directors appointed to represent the board on external committees will have an opportunity near the end of each business meeting to share updates on your work. Unless someone would like to make a change now, we do not have any contested committees and appointments. So I'll now ask for a motion to approve the committees and appointments as is posted in our meeting materials, in which Ryan is now projecting. The 2023 slate of committee assignments and external appointments are posted. Has been moved and second. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Director Surya?
Yes, ma'am. Do I have sound? It's not working? There you go. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the question that I had. I would like to nominate Director Ferrari for the ELL caucus chair. What is the procedure for that?
Ryan, you can correct me, but since none of the committees were contested, so we will not have to do any nomination of the different members. So everyone who submitted to be on the different external committees have been assigned, and there's no need to nominate anyone for that role.
How does that work? I'm sorry, I just need more clarification. I was sharing that that committee. It's not really a committee, it's the English Language Learners Caucus. So how do we transition that power for a new director?
Carolyn, Director Surya. The process for the ELL caucus, if I can get the back, turn my sound on, please. My apologies. The process for ELL caucus, as it is not a committee like the others that have an automatic chair assigned, is that when that caucus forms for the first time, it can select its own chair as it sees fit. So at that time, as happened the previous time with the EL caucus, there was a motion at that first meeting to nominate you as chair. So that would be the task for you to take on as the EL caucus has its first meeting.
Thank you for that clarification. I just wanted to make sure that we were not stuck in the same position. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Director Ellison?
Oh, no. Yeah, I was going to help answer the question, but Ryan did it. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. That motion passes, and the 2023 committees and appointments are set. Next, I will ask our new clerk, Director Lori Novo, to move approval of resolution labeled as 2023-002, which sets our regular meeting schedule for the year.
So moved. Second. So moved. Second.
That resolution has been moved in second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. That motion passes and the resolution is approved. Next, I will move approval of Resolution 2022-003, which contains a number of organizational matters, including designating an official newspaper, affirming board and student representative compensation at the same rate as last year, formally folding the audit committee functions into the finance committee, authorizing our interim superintendent Cox to use the MDE systems, directing the policy committee to conduct a review of the board student representative program, and urging the city to allow us the option of appointing designees to certain committees. Is there a second? The resolution has been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. That motion passes and the resolution is approved. The next 9 items labeled as Resolution 2023-004 through 2023-0012 are annual financial authorization. I'll ask our new treasurer, Director Abdi, to move approval of those items as a slate.
So moved.
If I can get a second.
Second.
The financial authorization resolution have been moved and second as a slate. Is there any discussion? See no further discussion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. That motion passes and the resolutions are approved. Thank you. That concludes our annual organization business.
Chair, pardon me, there was one error. If you could get a motion for Resolution 2023-0004, delegation of authority to the superintendent of schools. My apologies for the mistake.
Okay. So I'll go back to the labeled Resolution 2023-004 through 2023-0012 are our annual financial authorization. I'll ask our new treasurer, Director Abdi, to move approval of the items as a slate.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
The final authorization resolution has been moved and second as a slate. Is there any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. That motion passes and the resolutions are approved. Thank you. That concludes our annual organizational business. For the final item of the evening, Director Ellison will now provide us with an update on the superintendent search process. After she provides her update, we will take time for discussion and questions. Director Ellison, please go ahead.
Thank you. As you may have heard, MPS needs to hire a permanent superintendent. And I want to lay out the process that I recommend that we take, and then hoping we can discuss whether we're okay with that or not. So let's look at the plan. Ryan. As you remember so far, we have set up meetings to do our superintendent search discussions. We heard from Council of Great City Schools representative that told us about what we're up against, what the procedure is, what the national trends are, best practices. We have asked for and we've received proposals for an engagement firm and a search firm. We also have decided on an engagement firm. We chose that. And the search firm has put together meetings with community that should start this month and has put together a survey. That is online, Ryan, correct? Yes, that is online for anybody to fill out. That will be up through January.
marka online waaye ninkii codsanaya ilaa January bay noqonaysaa.
I want to set up this goal so that we have a successful superintendent search. The last board decided that this is the board that should choose that permanent superintendent, but they also wanted to set up this board to have a successful search. So we've already started with the search firm. We've got proposals for we've already set up the engagement firm. We've got proposals for a search firm. All right. We've got special meetings scheduled for the first Tuesday of the month, so we can keep separate the business of the board from the superintendent search business. We talked about the Council of Great City Schools representatives who came. There's a superintendent search website that people can check out. It's board.mpls.k12.ms.us/search, SUPT, search, where you can go to for all information about superintendent search information all in one place. We've got the proposals in, we need to choose a search firm, and we've already selected an engagement facilitator. Those meetings will be set up on the website. You will have information about where they are, and then they'll be communicated with the community as well. So, what do we need to do next? We need to hold the engagement sessions, and we need to receive survey responses, and we need to choose a search firm. I suggest we need to do that all this month. In February, we will receive that engagement report, so we can create a superintendent profile. We need to let people know we're looking for a superintendent, ask for applications. We need to recruit candidates, and receive some of those applicants in February. In March, we need to determine who those finalists are. So we can interview the candidates. We're going to ask community for their thoughts on those candidates, and then we need to make a decision. I recommend we make a decision by the end of March. So that will give us all of April, May, June, and July to finalize and approve the contract to onboard the superintendent so that they're ready to start on July 1st. Brian, this plan, as I've always said, is fluid, but let's discuss if we're okay with this timeline first. Let's talk about planning more meetings. We need to hire a search firm, so we need to set up a meeting so we can interview firms and vote on a firm. We need to set up meetings so we can interview candidates end of February and in March. And let's talk about whether we want to interview all candidates who apply, or if we want to create a committee that will narrow the field down to one, two, or three finalists that the board can then interview publicly. So let's talk. Are we okay with this timeline? Let's talk about how we want to choose our finalists. Let's see if we're ready to go.
Thank you, Director Ellison, for the update on this process, which is amongst our most important tasks as a board. Directors, please hit your request to speak button with any questions or comments in regards to the superintendent search and the next steps that we'll move forward. Director Cirio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to go over the point of to determine if board will interview a greater number of the finalists, or if a selection committee will be used to narrow 2 or 3. I think that will be really important for all of us as board members to be very inclusive, and in my personal opinion is to really bring the voices of the parent advisory councils for this. That's just something that I feel very strongly about, especially given the fact that so many of these parents have given years of their time to the community. So that is something to really consider and keep in mind as, moving forward. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Director Emmerich?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's January 3rd right now. I've heard 2 dates from the district about when the conclusion of listening sessions for search criteria will be finished. Those 2 dates are January 21st and January 23rd. I'm not sure which of those 2 dates is accurate, but they're close together, so we can take them as a timeline. As a parent in the district who sits on a site council, who sits on a PTO, who sits on a parent advisory council, and who's pretty involved and plugged in online, in emails, Facebook groups, Twitter, I have not yet gotten any information about when or where these listening sessions will be. We are looking at 18 to 20 days before they are concluded. As a board director, I have not yet gotten any information about how I will participate, when or where these listening sessions will be held. I do not think that 18 to 20 days going in with no information is a sufficient amount of time for our community to weigh in. Public education belongs to the public. So I think that we need to figure out how we can alter this situation so that we can ensure that our community has the opportunity to engage in the ways that they need to, in the ways that they deserve to, and in the ways that are actually efficacious in terms of getting community engagement, because a survey is not it. And a website is extremely helpful and a tool that I use and a lot of people use, but it is not accessible for all our communities, and it doesn't stand in as an access point in terms of how information about the superintendent search is delivered to the community and the different stakeholder groups. So I would like us to make sure that we take on that task together to make sure that the community gets to be a part of this decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Abdul.
Yeah, I think I second everything she said, both the directors, and the timeline is so condensed, and this is one of the most important tasks that this board is going to deliver. So I think whatever we're going to have it, we need the community input, and only having like less than 20 days to get that feedback, I don't think it's enough.
Thank you. Director Norvell.
Thank you. Director Ellison, do we have dates yet set, or some sort of, like, here's when we're going to have the dates that we will be having these listening sessions?
I've been waiting to hear from Radius. Ryan, do you have information on where Radius is on the planning?
Yep, Chair Lamine, directors, the listening session locations, they're finalizing them right now. It should be tomorrow or the day after, where they're confirmed with times and dates and locations. Their plan is for them to be held at different locations across the city, some schools, some community partner sites, and I believe they're looking at both weekend and evening weekdays to have both options there as well. Student-focused sessions as well as employee-only sessions. They are nearing completion of the dates and finding the locations, ensuring that they're available and ready to go. So it would be tomorrow or the day after that they'd be confirmed.
And that information then will be given to us right away?
Ryan?
That's correct, directors. We would get it to you right away, and then after that would be shared broadly with the community through all available channels that MPS has, and using the media and other partners to get it out broadly as well.
Thank you. I totally agree with what's been said about community engagement, and we've got to have ample time for that. I would like to see the dates, the schedule that they have before we make any decisions on that, to see, can we do this, or does it feel like it's too rushed? Because we know that public schools run, we've got to listen to public and our students and our educators and our families, and so we want to make sure we have that time. But I'd like to see the dates first before we extend this out.
I hear that. So I did write extend engagement, so thank you for that. When I say that this timeline is fluid, this is one of those fluid points. If we get to the end of January and we feel we have not received the type of information and engagement that the community has not been engaged like we want them to be, then we can say we need another week, we need another 2 weeks. So we don't have to make that decision tonight. But I do have that. People are concerned about the amount of engagement. So I hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan, I'm going to lean to you a little bit as we further this discussion. As I'm hearing everyone speak tonight, it sounds like we are not wanting to move forward with a special meeting for January 17th. And so if you can just guide us through what would be the next step, since January 17th doesn't sound like we have a majority that wants to move forward with that date.
Sure, Chair Elamine and directors, the tasks, and I can go back here, Director Ellison referenced kind of time with one another, and of course the board is open and available to do whatever you would like to do. So I think there's probably a couple of key decision points. There is already a special meeting scheduled for February 7th. That would be the first Tuesday. So that would be a juncture point at which you could wait and hear what the feedback was during that time. I think you would need to think about the rest of the timeline in regards to having an executive search firm on board if that's what the board desired to do. You need to have time to interview those firms and make a decision there as well. So the pieces kind of move together with one another. The timeline, as referenced, is extremely condensed. I think as we've discussed, there are other districts as well that are turning over superintendents and standing up timelines that are quicker. Again, that's up to the board to decide at what pace you want to move, but it's context that you should be aware of as well. There are other districts that are hiring superintendents currently. So I think you have options. It's always best to give yourselves more options by scheduling additional meetings that can always be canceled if you don't have matters you want to discuss at those meetings. So you have options. You have a meeting on the books next Tuesday, January 10th, which is a regular business meeting, and of course the hope or the plan from the prior board was that the work of the superintendent search would be segregated from the regular business. Of course, the board has every right to add an agenda item to that January 10th meeting to kind of look over the list of proposed community engagement sessions and confirm it, or say, actually we'd like to extend this, please rearrange that. I don't have off the top of my head if there are many scheduled prior to that time. So that would be one option, is we could ask the community engagements firm to bring to the January 10th meeting a proposed set of community engagement sessions, at which point you all could say, this is too condensed. Can we take some of them and push them into February and realign the timeline? So you have all the options, but every choice has different considerations that you have to take into account with timeline. But of course, there's room. I have not done a superintendent search, but I'm aware that others generally do that, and that have happened in every month throughout the year. School district just made a hire in December. There will be some that make hires in February, March, April, even May. So, there is not a prescriptive month. This is simply a timeline that Chair Ellison had sketched out as a starting point. So I think you have these options before you, is to ask the community engagement facilitator to bring a proposed schedule to you on January 10th and add an item to that agenda to be able to look at that and decide, let's move forward with this, or let's give ourselves some more time. You can call a special meeting on the 17th and have it on the books, and then see how it goes on the 10th. You can decide to call one on the 17th after the 10th. You do have a lot of options before you.
Thank you. Director Norville?
Thank you. I just was going to say, as far as the January 17th meeting, I really feel like that search firm, that the executive search firm that we're looking at, that needs to run concurrently with the community engagement that we're doing. We need that firm ready to go. We need them ready to hit the ground running when we have all those community engagement pieces together. And so if we can meet on the 17th for that executive search firm to determine that or to get that moving, that's going to help us. So I would not be in favor of saying, no, let's don't have that right now. I think that we need to hold that time for that meeting at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Fatia.
I have a question about the superintendent's search. Are we still keeping the applicants private till it's public, till the last two finalists, or is that still effective?
Ryan, you can correct me if I'm, depending on the search firm that we decide upon as a board, those are things that we can tell them we want to do. So the more discussion that we have as a board, we can kind of give them what our expectations are and what we would like to see done. So that has not been discussed. I think that would be more of an open discussion as we move forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chair, I mean, that's correct. The only parameter we're working with, and General Counsel Moore could, of course, expand on it, is the legal requirements about when applicants' names do become public data under Minnesota Data Practices Act. And that point would be anyone selected to be interviewed by the appointing body, which in this case would be the school board. So if you're selecting to interview 5 people, then all 5 names would be public. If you're selecting to interview 2, then 2 names would be public. That's the one parameter that's outside of our control. It's state law, and that would be the names again at the stage at which you're selecting them for an interview before you as a board. But you're correct that you could have that discussion and decide, would you like to look at a selection committee model to narrow it, and then they make recommendations that the board then interviews. Those are all choices you have to engage either with yourselves or with a search firm to give their advice and expertise.
Thank you. So if I'm hearing correctly, Ryan, as far as our next steps, we can have our meeting on January the 17th with adding an additional agenda item for further discussion, requesting that the engagement firm bring more information to talk about the superintendent search.
Chair Lamine, just to clarify, I think, did you mean the 10th next week?
Well, we have the 17th here that we're pushing for a special meeting. The 10th is our regular business meeting, correct?
The 10th is a regular business meeting. I think the idea behind the 17th would be a space to process and interview executive search firms. If you wait until that point, most of the month is gone then. So I think the question is, are you looking to have the engagement firm come here and say, here's our proposal of what we're doing for sessions, yay or nay, or would you like them to begin the sessions and then come back on the 17th and sort of see how things are going? The idea behind the 17th, though, as it stands, would be have the session scheduled and proceed, and then about halfway through those sessions or so, you'd be coming together on the 17th to interview and decide on a search firm. So that search firm is, as Director Norville stated, kind of ready to go as soon as the engagement stage is finished, whenever you determine it's finished, to take that information and turn it into a profile that they're going out then and recruiting candidates for. So you have a couple of options, Chair Lamine, where you could even on the 10th, but I guess the big question is, do you want them to start the sessions, announce them, and have them going, or would you like them to come before you to get approval, or to say, we would actually like to have this spread out a little bit more into February? So I think the first question before you is, do you do any decision points on the 10th of January? And asking the community engagement process to wait until after that time to start would simply postpone the process a little bit.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So again, it sounds like we need to determine for January 10th if we want to add an additional item to the agenda with having our community engagement, EPU, our community engagement firm, to come before us, share the date, share what's already been laid out by the previous board, and then give approval to move forward for the 17th. So do we need to take a vote in regards to that, or how would you like for us to discuss that?
Chair, I mean, a vote is always the most helpful because it gives just a clear, undisputable direction. So I think that would probably be the preferred method. If that's what you're saying is someone would make a motion to ask the search firm to come and present their proposed dates and sessions on the 10th and have approval before they can begin. And that would be, I think, a motion that would be provide the kind of direction we need to be able to work with the community engagement firm and tell them this is what the board would like.
Thank you. Director Sonia?
Yeah, I have a question about that vote.
Hit your down.
There we go. Thanks. Which is, I know that because we don't have the list of sessions yet, we may not have this information available to us, but it's a two-part question. My first question is, has the assumption been that they would be able to move forward with commencing those listening sessions without having a board vote? I'm seeing some nods. Is that a yes?
That's correct, Director.
Okay, and the second part of my question is, what do we think the likelihood is that those sessions could begin before January 10th if they were able to proceed without a board vote?
Chair, I mean, Director Emmerich, I would say the likelihood is high. I know that they have been working to confirm the sites, which of course, any of us who have planned things knows that that can take a lot of logistics, but I do believe they're close, and some of them could even start prior to the 10th. They're very close and ready, really close to being able to announce sessions.
Okay, so just to clarify, by voting now to take a vote at the next business meeting on January 10th to commence listening sessions, we are shortening a process that we are already concerned may be too short. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Director Norville?
I think Sonia said, sorry, I think Director Emmerich said most of what I was going to say. I just was curious about that timeline, and the process, to me, the way I understand it, is that at those listening sessions, we are planning to have directors there. And so it doesn't feel to me that there is any concern or fear about what this firm is going to do during the listening sessions. It feels to me that we can trust what is going to happen there. We will have a director there to be there to listen as well and to say, here's what I've heard. I am not in favor of shortening this process anymore. As Director Emmerich just pointed out, that's what would happen if we wait until the 10th. We need to, I think we need to move forward with what has already been laid out, that they have the autonomy to go ahead with these sessions as soon as they're ready. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for that discussion. So if I'm hearing the agreement, our next steps, we should add another special meeting for January 17th to interview and select an executive search vendor. Please look for emails on the timing for that meeting shortly. So again, that will end our discussion. We can look for further emails to talk about the next steps for the January 17th. That concludes our agenda for this evening. The next meeting of the board will be our regular business meeting, which is Tuesday, January 10th. Without objection, I will now adjourn this meeting. Good night, everyone.
You need to gavel.